Good afternoon, everybody. It's Dave Roberts here. I'm the Capital Projects Manager for Woodland Pond, and this is our weekly update. Thanks for joining. First of all, I know that a lot of you have tuned in to find out what the Australian Football League result was. The Brisbane Lions just absolutely trounced the Sydney Swans by 60 points. So, pretty amazing game. Um, the last week has really been, our architects are focusing on preparing the drawing package for delivering to the engineers next week. Um, just to remind everybody that what that means is that on next week the drawings go to the engineer, and the following week the engineer puts together that entire package of drawings for the planning board and submits that. And that's all to hit a deadline for a November 5th planning board meeting. That'll be our first public planning board meeting. So that's what everyone's kind of working on. And so while they're focused on that, we have been concentrating with Wilson, the construction managers, and also, with the involvement of the architects and everyone else on the team as well, to discuss the budget and schedule. And so that's really what we've been working on this week. We I'm just going to share my screen here so that I can walk through some of these things with you. Um, you should be able to see it now. This is actually the existing plan. So it's not the future plan, but it's the existing plan. It just shows how we're going to approach the phasing um, over the next year and a half. How we break down the alterations and additions to the existing uh, community buildings. So follow the green cursor, and we're actually splitting the dining phase into two phases, um, and some sub phases as well. So what we're going to do is start on the kitchen, which is here, the existing kitchen space, and while we're doing that, you can imagine the sort of logistics of taking the kitchen offline, which is, we need a temporary kitchen, which will probably be in a trailer. We're still going to be serving all the food. You're still going to be sitting in a dining area eating, but we have to figure out that for a few weeks, while we put in new equipment, we're probably, we're talking about things like redoing the floor in the kitchen it's been there for 15 years, to make it safer, cleaner, easier to clean, all those sorts of things. So anyway, the first phase is this kitchen area, and then soon, and part of that first phase is going to be this part of the dining area. And because of the adjacencies, lots of things start to come into play. So um, we're going to be fitting out for the bank move and the new the post office will actually follow. So new bank. And then marketing is going to be moving to this section here. So marketing will be part of that first phase too. And then we see bathrooms down here. They'll be upgraded too. The configuration will remain the same, but they'll all be upgraded as part of that early phase. Once again, some of these things are because they're adjacent. We're dealing with plumbing in the kitchen, so we want to capture utilize upgrading the plumbing in the bathrooms as well, all those fixtures and finishes. So once we get this done, then we have a kitchen and, a large part of the dining room that can be utilized. And we can start on the next phase, which is this part of the dining room over here. So that includes new bar, new sort of bistro area, fast casual dining in this area. And so we're fitting that out as phase 2. Now, what you'll notice here is that our plans also include an expansion, an addition to the dining area, but that won't happen until later. That additional seating is really part of the proposed expanded campus. And so what we're going to do is hold off on the expense of that, needing to, spend all the money on doing that until we actually, need it. So that'll come later as part of our second round of funding. And phase 3 actually means we're going to start to address the entry, concierge, upgrading all the finishes in there, changing some things in concierge so it functions better. And then we start to look at the post office, upgrading the post office. The pharmacy stays exactly where it is, but we're going to be talking about upgrading some of the finishes in there as well while we're in this process. And then, there are some new bathrooms that we're talking about being part of this phase 3. So we call this kind of the main street, and it's in support of, dining. So that'll be phase 3 to address these ancillary spaces. Actually, phase 2 will actually go over here too and include the new billiard room, ping pong room at this end. So that's gets us into mostly interior work. Obviously there'll be some supporting MEP, mechanical work on the roof and so on, but this work is primarily within the existing envelope of the building. So you can imagine plenty, a bit of disruption here. Will be, as I say, we'll be talking about using a temporary kitchen. We'll be talking about enclosing areas, shutting off areas so that you are not impacted by the noise and dust from construction during this period. And as you can imagine too, when we start to deal with phase 3, then we've got to figure out, okay, how are we going to move people from one end of the campus to the other without you being impacted by construction? So that's part of the big conversation here. And a number of you will have heard about, the possibility, or actually it's just a discussion at the moment, of utilizing some of the storage space in the basement. We see that as potential because it's conditioned space. It's accessible by elevators, but we're still working through the phasing plan to see what we might need in terms of space while we're upgrading the existing facility. So, when you think about it, obviously it doesn't work to have dining down there, but some of the other activities could happen, like activities classes and yoga and that sort of thing. But still to be determined, and as we delve more into this, we realize that we're not maximizing our use of some of the storage space we already have in the basement. So there's potential there. And we also know that, a lot of residents, excuse me, need access or want access to, their storage units throughout the year. So they're the things that we're tossing up. But I mentioned that because, when we come down to the fitness edition and impacting the fitness room for upgrades in our phase 4, then that's where we start to think, we may need to have some additional space to call upon while we build out these. So the phase 4 includes, it's not indicated on here because this is the existing plan, but the addition to the building. And that will actually, some of this site work and foundation work will start earlier on when we're in phase 2 and phase 3 of the construction. We'll start to do that work. And then, of course, there's a reconfiguring of the interior spaces here. This is the existing fitness room. That will be impacted during this stage. And then these bathrooms in the swimming pool, they also will be upgraded too. So it's quite a scope of work. And part of this that we were talking about yesterday is that, of course, there's a lot of exterior work here too, landscaping, community gardens, and that needs to be completed as part of this phase two, be part of the budgeting. And we're also still we're still having a discussion about when the existing pack and the new meeting rooms in this area, when they come online, because obviously we need this pack until we build the new pack. So that's not indicated on here because the new pack will be will be the next phase after this. And then, of course, we have the administration offices as well. One thing that I know that needs to be addressed here is that our art room upgrade, which is an addition to the existing salon space in here, that will be that's after these first four phases. And we still are working on what the actual time length of this construction is. And then the next week or so, I'll be able to give you an update on that as to how long each of these phases will take, and then how long the overall construction will take. And then that will also give us an indication. We'll start to understand how long the admin addition is going to take, and that will include the art room as well. This week I signed the acoustician for bringing them on board, which is really important at this stage. We've discussed this before, but they're not just talking about the acoustics in obvious places like the new Performing Arts Centre, but also in all our meeting rooms. They'll review the finishes and the acoustics for things like the activities rooms as well. We're talking about the possibility of having indoor pickleball. You can imagine the challenges with that, and it will mean probably bringing walls up to the underside of the existing concrete deck in order to make that an acoustically isolated space. And so the acoustician is dealing not only with the internal acoustics, how people can hear each other better, hear a speaker better, and all those sort of things internally, but it's also about adjacencies. So you can imagine if you have the activity space adjacent to meeting rooms, we need to address those adjacencies to make sure that the noise from one doesn't carry over into another. And it's both directions too. If you have a meeting in a classroom and there's yoga next door, the yoga may want to be quiet. And so, we need to address those things. Same as with the salon, you want that to be a more relaxing, peaceful place, especially in a massage room. That adjacency to an activity room needs to be addressed so that everyone can enjoy their activities without being affected by other activities. So, acoustician, there'll be some lengthy meetings with them and the architects to make sure that the concerns that we have are going to be addressed. That's all I have for this week. Next week, I won't be doing a broadcast. I'm actually going away for a few days to Maine. And so that's all. I hope you have a great weekend. And just a reminder that the Boston Marathon is only 28 weeks away. All right. Have a great weekend. Bye.